Hey everybody, Rich Gannum here, and with me today is Stan Zarycki. And Stan is one of the top agents in our office, as many of you know, and he's been here for a number of years. But what I think a lot of people don't know is you and Denise build your business on your sphere of influence. So before we jump into kind of like the Q&A on how to do it and what it looks like and everything, give everybody just a little backstory of who you are, how you got into the business, and kind of what your career has looked like to get to where it's at today.
Okay. Started in the real estate business in 1976. My business associations with real estate and with mortgages have been continuous. My wife decided to get licensed in 2014. So I had to get relicensed because when I went into lending and was a compliance officer, I could not keep my license.
So you were licensed as an agent,
Yes,
went into the mortgage industry, and then back into residential.
back into residential lending.
Okay.
And our business is anytime you're in sales, you need to build where your business gets from. So you have to know, in our particular case, right now we're working with 10 different people. Out of those 10 people, 8 of them are from our sphere of influence. 3 of those are past customers. So that's the very important part of the business that people don't think about. We only have 2 people we're working with are from outside sources.
So let's look at that, right? So you made the jump from a real estate agent into the mortgage industry, and then back into real estate.
Correct.
So similar to an agent getting licensed for the first time and was in a certain industry prior to real estate, right? Prior to getting into the sales side, you were in that position. You were an agent. You left the sales inside of things, got into a different sector, and then came back in. So how did you make that transition with your sphere years ago? How did that conversation look of, hey, and I'm making this up, I'm just spitballing with you here, but like, hey, it's Stan, I'm back, I'm leaving the real estate industry, I'm going into mortgages, or how did it go from, hey, I'm leaving the mortgage industry and going back into real estate? How did you develop your sphere of influence? What did that conversation look like?
Well, your sphere of influence doesn't necessarily have to be in one particular business. Your sphere of influence are people that you're friends with, people that you're related to, people that you meet, people that you work with, maybe didn't do anything then, but later they're going to maybe use you for something else. So you never stop building a sphere of influence. Never. From the time you start working, if you're in any kind of sales, you should start your sphere of influence and never stop it.
So when you say sphere of influence, are you talking like colleagues that you used to work with, or are you talking about, your neighbors, your friends, your family, people that you golf with, maybe go to the country club, whatever that looks like, whatever that is for you? When you talk about sphere, are you talking about everybody that you've ever known, or are you talking about a very specific group of people?
A very specific group of people. People that are interested, or that you care about, or that are related, that trust you, know you. So it can't be everybody you meet, because over your lifetime you meet so many people that that's not realistic.
Right.
But what are you looking for, and what are they looking for? How can you help them? If you can help them in any way and you know them, they should be in your sphere of influence.
Yeah, so it's really like people that know you, like you, trust you.
Yes.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
And then you take it one step further, and then you have your sphere of influence, but then in your sphere of influence, you probably have 5, 10, 15 people that might be like your raving fans that whenever they hear or smell the word real estate, they're like, you need to call Stan and Denise. They're the best, right? So you probably have your sphere of influence is probably segmented out into like the your VIPs, and that you're going to give a little bit extra attention to, and maybe people that you communicate with a few times a year, right?
Yes, we communicate with everybody a few times a year, actually. But we have what we call our top 100. And that's going to be people that you communicate with or see on a regular basis. And I'm not talking about business all the time. I'm talking about social. I'm talking about going out to eat. Those of you that know us know we like to do that.
You're always checking in another broken egg. Or one of the things I love about how you interact with your sphere, especially on the social side of things, is whenever you go, like let's say you're in Parma and it's lunchtime, you're gonna go eat at a restaurant in Parma and then you're gonna check in there, right? And if it's
Yes.
dinner time and you're in Beechwood, you're gonna check in at the restaurant that you're eating dinner at in Beechwood. So you're always trying to like. You guys have made food a key piece of your conversation on social.
It's fun. It's fun. What happens if we have an appointment? Like yesterday, I was showing a home in Lakewood. Denise wasn't with me that time, but I made another stop on the way home because it was convenient.
Sure.
And so you intertwine your life with business and social. And if you do that, you are always getting a benefit from what you're doing.
So let's go back to this top 100 that you have, because I love this idea, and I apologize that we got distracted by food. I just had an eclair, and now I'm thinking about lunch. So your top 100, you said it was not only people in business but also social.
Yes.
That top 100, is it a static group, or are you constantly going? You know
It
what?
can change.
So you're bringing people in that maybe have given you multiple referrals, and maybe somebody that hasn't or you haven't communicated with in a long time, they might fall out and people might move in, right?
Yes, and it can go back the other way too. I mean, it'll constantly change. The whole business, the whole idea of people that are your base for sphere of influence, that is a very fluid thing. It can change. It can change by the market. It can change by people, of course, leaving. It can change by people moving back. It can change by divorces, or maybe it can add people, so it's a very fluid thing. It's not meant to be static.
So when you look at your sphere of influence, when you look at your top 100, how does somebody get in to your top 100? Like, what qualifies them to be a part of the top 100?
For people that we, one, get business from, two, could be related, three, that we know them socially.
Okay.
It's not everybody's going to have a top 100. It depends probably on what your whole total sphere of influence is. But it's people that you communicate with on a more, not just regularly, but often during a year. They've got to be people that you communicate with often.
So let's talk about communication.
Okay.
These people aren't just on a drip campaign on your email that just once a month sends real estate market update, right?
No.
Your SOI, this is a very targeted group of people specific to building a referral base, sending out referrals to different folks, people that you're socially in tune with.
Yeah.
What are examples of different ways you communicate with your sphere?
Well, you're spending an evening with them during a week. Could be darts, could be pool, could be bowling, could just doing things with them. It could be from people that you go watch, people that you know that entertain with music, and you get together and go do it. It could be playing games in the backyard. I mean, it's not a.
I think people sometimes, and the reason I ask the question is I think people sometimes overcomplicate communicating with their sphere.
No, you don't have to talk business. All you have to do is communicate.
And a lot of times it's not about talking business.
That's right.
Right?
It's most of the time it's not.
They're going to bring it up.
If they are ready, they will. Or if they know someone, because of the time you've spent in front of them, they think of you first. Yeah. That's one of the advantages of the AdWorks thing that we're doing now. I think it's great.
Yeah. Well, I think so. Using AdWorks then it's another lever in your communication funnel with your sphere of influence, right?
Half of the people, not all, because I got to figure out how to do more, but we're limited to 2,500 on the emails. So we have about 2,400 in there because I need to leave room. But those 2,400 people are getting our information in front of them, if they're on the internet, 5 times a week without us doing anything.
You just magically show up through the
Yes.
through the retargeting of your SOI, right?
Yes.
Of your sphere of influence, you're going to show up on ESPN or Yahoo or AOL,
wherever they're
searching, right?
And the nice thing is that ad that's available to us, you can change 2 lines every week if you want. Yesterday or the day before, I put in a new one. I said, let's warm things up. Let's get your house listed. That's all. And people react to that.
Yeah.
You get phone calls, you get clicks, you get people looking that maybe never didn't think they were going to be looking.
Yeah.
So
somebody in your SOI gives you a referral.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. What does that process look like for you?
That process looks like we contact them and see what they might be interested in, or most of the time, in fact, they contact us. But we do sometimes contact them. And then you go right through that process. Are they going to end up on this list, or are they going to end up on this list, or just in the big?
How do you think the person that's maybe in your top 100 or in your SOI that said, hey, you're looking to move, you need to call the Zaryckis?
We have one right now, out of the ones we're working with right now, that is a past customer that this is the second referral that they've sent us, and it's for a listing. It's out in Paynesville, but it's a listing and it's a referral, so that's gold. That's what we're about.
So thanking your clients on that then, or those in your SOI, so that they know that you appreciate the referral, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because there are agents in the industry that they get a referral and they do nothing with it. I don't understand it. I'll never understand it. I'm just going to leave it at that. And then there are those folks that when they get a referral from somebody in their SOI, because you've built your business is probably what, 85%, 90% sphere of influence, right?
Well, right now it's 80% on the ones we're working on.
So to maintain that 80%, do you do anything above and beyond other than a thank you for those people in your top 100 or in your SOI when they send you multiple referrals throughout the year?
Yes.
So it's not just a, hey, Bill, thank you so much for the referral. Really appreciate it. Talk to you later. Bye.
Sometimes that's who you're eating with. So, I mean, it depends on what you're doing. It depends on the time of year. It depends on what else you're doing with that individual.
So I guess my point is you have a calculated method process system that when you receive a referral from somebody in your top 100 or in your sphere of influence, you make it a point to let them know that they're special, that they're important to you and your business, and you might plan an event with them at a dinner, or go golfing, or bowling, or whatever, right?
Or give them a gift like you would the person that's getting the house. It could be that sometimes it can be the same gift, depending on what it is.
Sure. But you want to make people feel appreciative, right?
Right.
That you appreciate them for that they thought of you when they could think of anybody else, right?
You know, you have to stay in certain limits.
Of course.
You have to be careful, but, you know, go out for a pizza or, you know, whatever.
Yeah, take it to an Indians game or whatever, right?
Yeah.
Or Guardians, rather. I can't say Indians anymore. What mistakes have you made, or what lessons have you learned in building your SOI over these number of years? What lessons have you learned about things that didn't work, or hindsight being 2020, I wish I would have done this instead of that? Is there anything that comes to your mind that you're like, ooh, that was an opportunity and I missed it?
Yes, I think the biggest thing is deciding what your target is. Deciding if you want to do an area, if you want to do a price range, if you want to open up for everyone. That is kind of hard. That you've got you can't hit what you can't see.
Ooh, I like that. I'm writing that down.
You need to be focused. You need to have a target. And if you can't see a target, what you're going for, you're never going to get there.
So you talked about a location, so that would probably be part of your farm, right? So you probably have, in your massive collection of database, right? You have your personal SOI,
Yep.
You have your business SOI, and if I'm hearing you correctly, within your farming location,
farming locations.
Within those, you have VIPs in there too.
Yes, in fact, that's usually why we pick a certain farm area.
Okay, tell me more about that.
Because it's a past client that likes to meet neighbors. It's a relative.
Great referrals there, right?
Yeah.
Hey, go talk to the Zaryckis. Here's $6,000. Because that's really what it is, right?
Mm-hmm.
When you look at 2022, we see interest rates are starting to rise. We see inventory is low in multiple areas, multiple price points, multiple cities. Inventory to some degree isn't there. How are you communicating with your SOI this year that, one, can help educate, but two, can almost create a sense of urgency for those that are thinking about pulling the trigger this year?
It's a little difficult because of inventory right now. And in fact, as you know, we are transitioning from trying to stick with buyers to trying to do listings. But out of the 10 we're working on, 3 of them are buy and sell. But they're not going to sell until they buy. So it's a little bit difficult, but you don't change what you're doing because of the market. What you change is the way you approach the business. These people know that they're not going to go out and buy a house today. It's just not what's working right now. Right. But we're still showing. We have shown last week 4 of the 7 days we showed homes. So that's just, the business is going to change around you, but don't change trying to get the business. You may go for a little bit without it, but then all of a sudden you're going to have a bunch to work on.
And you get that bunch to work on based on the activities you did 30, 60, 90 days ago.
That's why we finally have 10 that we're doing right now.
Yeah.
I mean, that's...
But I think the key here for what you're saying is you never stopped communicating with your sphere.
No, you don't want to stop.
You never stopped communicating with them. You never stopped having conversations with them, letting them know how important they were to you, to Denise, to your business, you always made them feel like they were number one.
Yes.
So then when it came time to sitting around Thanksgiving or the holiday table, right, and the people are talking about buying and selling real estate, the referral goes, hey, you need to call Stan and Denise. They're the best.
Yes.
And that's where you end up with 10 people or however, 15, 20, and throughout the course of whatever that time period is, because you've laid the foundation, you've done the work, you ran the play that works to building your SOI.
Right, because the last few months we didn't have anything, and now all of a sudden we're crazy busy.
Yeah.
Now we've written a lot of contracts that haven't been closed,
Sure.
but the business is there, and the business is going to be there. And that's why you've got to have stick-to-itiveness.
Ooh, I like that. Stick-to-itiveness. Stick-to-itiveness. Is that a noun? Or is that a verb? Before we wrap up, talking about SOI, is there anything else about your SOI, building an SOI, having the conversation? I do want to go back to that, having the conversation from leaving one industry and going into real estate, because there are, everybody gets into this industry coming from somewhere else. Like real estate's never anybody's first career, right? Very rarely is real estate somebody's first career. So there's that transition. So before we wrap up, talk about that transition, that conversation with your SOI of, hey, I'm leaving the mortgage industry and I'm going back into residential real estate. What is that what did that conversation look like? And to an agent watching this that might have just gotten licensed this year or last year and struggling to get things going, what conversations do you encourage them to have with the people that that know them, like them, trust them, transitioning into real estate?
Well, first of all, you don't have the conversation until the people are interested in what you're doing. So you need to let them know you changed, okay? Don't press them. They're going to come to you. You remain friends. You do active things with them. Get active in the community. Westlake Historical Society, Boy Scouts.
Whatever it is.
Yeah, whatever it is. Get active in the community. The things that Russell does every year, get involved in them. You're going to be surprised if you let people know when you're doing stuff like that. They're interested in what you're doing. So then they start a conversation with you as to what you're doing, how you got involved, and then it goes into real estate.
And it snowballs.
It's,
right? It
yeah,
snowballs.
it's simple. It's not hard. It's not a hard business. It's an ever-changing business, and it's something that you will learn all of your life, something new.
Yeah. Final thoughts before we wrap up. SOI. Anything that we haven't talked about, anything we haven't touched on, anything that as we were talking, you're like, ooh, I want to make sure I mention that?
No, I think the biggest part is that use the tools that are available to you. Don't make a big deal out of it. Just use the tools that are available to you.
I like that. Stan, thank you.
You're quite welcome,
Appreciate
sir.
it.